Hi, I'm Billy Mitchell with FedScoop TV. Today I'm here with Anthony Robbins, Vice President of Federal for Brocade. How are you, Anthony?
Good, Billy.
Great to have you here. Today we're talking a little bit about network modernization. We're at the 7th annual Lowering the Cost of Government with IT Summit, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about the savings that comes with that modernization. Specifically, as agencies go towards modernization, how can they better transition to a new network paradigm and the new IP and kind of have that same correlating savings?
Well, at its essence, all they have to do is modernize the network, in its most simplistic form. Today's network was conceived about 20 years ago. It was implemented 15 years ago, and today it's full of end-of-life, end-of-service, end-of-sale product that doesn't adhere to open standards. It's not multi-vendor. It doesn't rationalize software on the network and the like. So everything about the network that serves our federal government customer is just old. And it's not because people did some things that were wrong over time. It's just the cost of the infrastructure and the age of the infrastructure. It's just gotten to a point where we just have to simply modernize it. Our opportunities in modernizing it relate to what's happening in the marketplace. So security is a big deal. Cybersecurity is driving the federal government right now more than cloud. The role of cloud. So what's the role of the network in an on-ramp to the cloud, right? How does the network today deal with the mobility and the big data challenge? So there's a lot of reasons why you have to modernize the network to deal with the technology trends. In addition, the cost of the associated older network.
Sure. You mentioned cybersecurity, and obviously from recent events we've learned that's kind of a big deal. How much does that has to do with legacy systems and kind of causing budget restraints, or is it something else? Are agencies being held back by their networks? What do you think it is that's keeping them from rolling out the cybersecurity they need?
There's not one thing that relates to security that's creating a bigger problem than others. The answer to security has to do with people and leadership. It has to do with policy and practice, and it has to do with systems, and the systems are related to the network, the servers that sit on that network, the storage infrastructure, and collaboration and sharing. So it's a very complicated thing. I mean, the federal government, according to the FY16 budget, is going to spend $14 billion. That's up dramatically. Some people may say it's not enough, but it's a lot of money. Right, there's a lot of money that's going into the area of security. There's a few things that have to happen. We've got to figure out what are the commercial best practices that relate to security. We do have to do a better job of providing security on the network. There is a study out there that says that the cost of encryption for data in flight is very expensive, and the performance on the network is very slow. And there's a study that says, as a result, government customers are turning off some security features. Okay, now that's not a judgment statement about those folks. It's just how they're trying to use the network to move the data that they're responsible for, and everyone's trying to figure out how to provide service level agreements and secure the data and the like. It's a very complex problem. Not one thing solves it.
Sure. Another big topic is the move to the cloud. Wondering if you had any advice for agencies potentially thinking about transitioning to the cloud, and if there was something particularly about the new IP that can help better support governments move to the cloud.
Yeah, the advice is pretty simple. It's prepare yourself to move to the cloud, period. Yeah. And then it's organize yourself for how to do that. And I think that's kind of a mindset shift for some who are finding reasons why they can't move. Sure. The whole world is going to as a service. The cloud is going to profoundly impact what the enterprise looks like and how services get offered to the federal government, whether it's warfighters or citizen services and the like. So we've got to work with the government to just get them to the cloud. When we think about the cloud from a networking perspective, we think about network modernization in the current infrastructure, and we think about the network as an on-ramp for the government to get to public or private clouds. And so from our perspective, there's some building blocks that are really important as it relates to the new IP and how it enables cloud capabilities. It's open standards, right? Get away from proprietary protocols. It's multiple vendors, not a single vendor. You don't want vendor lock-in. You don't want a single vendor to dominate your infrastructure. Software-defined networking is going to be one of the things that have the most profound impact on the network since we've been providing networking services to our customers. And also as a service. There's models that allow us to bring network infrastructure to our customer as a service.
Sure.
Right? And so there's a lot of things that can enable network modernization that will be both drive down costs today and enable cloud-ready infrastructure of tomorrow.
Yeah, in talking about all these topics, there's a lot more data than ever out there. What kind of strain is this potentially putting on the network, and how can government keep the cost down when facilitating the movement of this data to all kinds of new endpoints and across all the networks?
Think about the Beltway in Washington, D.C. how bad is traffic in our nation's capital, right? I think it's one of the top 5 worst areas in the nation. And that's the same, the big data challenge has created the same thing to our network. The world's data is growing at more than 50% a year, okay? And the network that was put in place to serve the federal government was put in place before cloud, before cybersecurity, before this data growth, before everything that's connecting to the network as we know it. So we have an old and aged network infrastructure with more data than the world has ever seen. The federal government is the largest producer of and consumer of data in the world by segment. Sure. And so you have all this data that's trying to traverse across an old network. And so we've got to work with the government to flatten the network so that we can get less complexity. Simplified network will allow the data to go faster. And then there's strategies to encrypt data in flight and the like. And so there's a big simplification opportunity here across the government.
Interesting. Well, Anthony, that's all I have for you today. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
And Billy, thanks for having me at the Fed Scoop, lowering the cost of government with IT.
Of course. I'm Billy Mitchell of FedScoop TV. Thanks for watching.